tomato. You will need a pad of drawing paper, drawing pencils ranging from 4B up to 4H, a kneaded eraser, a white eraser, and a blending stick. Let's get started. To begin our drawing, I'm going to just take a look at the still life. And I'm going to start out with a 3H pencil, so I can get a very light outline. And I'm just going to carefully sketch what I see. Now you can start a drawing with light little sketches like this, or with a contour drawing. We will do contour drawing another day. Today I'm just going to do a light little sketch of what I see. I've included the reference photo with 2 different angles for you in the course materials. So you can choose which you want to do. I am doing the angle that's slightly overhead. Now it's often hard to draw things that are round because, well, they're round, but it's often more of a battle between your mind and your eyes. Your eyes know or your mind knows an apple's round, so it wants to draw it round. And it is. But no apple is a perfect circle, or even a perfect little oblong oval or anything. There are flat points on an apple. There are bumps and irregularities. And the same with little Roma tomatoes. They're not all a perfect little oval. Some of them are a little misshapen, but no less delicious. So just try and listen more to your eyes than what your brain is telling you when you sketch out your piece. I'm going to take my white eraser and I'm just going to get rid of a few of these lines where I was struggling to get the right shape, where I was fighting with my mind and my eyes. There. Right, next we'll move in and start adding some value. Now that you have your light sketch, I'm going to take your 3H pencil again, and we're going to draw in the highlights very lightly, just so we know where the lightest parts of the apple and the tomato are. So there's a highlight there, there's a little highlight here, and there's just a little bit here. And on the tomato, we've got this highlight here. It's rather gradual. And there's even a little bit of a reflection, the tablecloth right here. So now that I've outlined those, I am going to go in and start adding some of the darker values now. I'm going to start now with just a B pencil that needs sharpened. My sharpener is actually quitting on me, so I'm going to have to go in with my 2B. So I have my 2B or B pencil, and I'm going to go in and add, there's a shadow here from the Roma tomato on the side of the apple. And you want to be gentle with your brush or with your pencil marks. Sorry, I'm also a painter, so I think brush strokes and pencil strokes are the same. You don't want to go back and forth like this and never lift your pencil off the paper, because then you will get these little dot points in your drawings, like this. You'll get all these little points and arrows, and that's not what we want. We want this to look smooth and uniform. And I find going in with some of the darker values first kind of anchors the paint, or the drawing, anchors the drawing a little bit. There's some shadows here up by the stem. And I do try and go with the shape of the apple when I'm drawing. So right here is a bit flat, so I didn't need to curve, but right here at the top of the apple, you know, it curves from down the stem. Now the trick here, if you remember watching my value lesson, which if you have not watched my value lesson, I highly recommend you watch it before continuing with this lesson. We don't want to go by the color of the apple and the tomato, because the red is darker than the green, but it's not really darker in value, just in color. And since we don't have color in the drawing, you need to go by value, like light and dark, not so much color. This little shadow here. Oops, that was a little too dark, so I'm going to take my kneaded eraser and just lift that up. Shadow here is a little bit of a line, and then it curves, just like the apple does. And there's some here. There's a bit of a shadow on the front of the apple. There. And then at the base of the apple is where it anchors to the table, where the shadow is. And we'll go in and do the shadow in a little bit, but make sure that this part here where the apple meets the table is not the darkest part, because it's not. We'll move on to our Roma tomato next. You're going to go in and do the shadows on the Roma tomato. There's a few more on this because it doesn't have as much light hitting it by the apple, plus the apple is blocking some of the light. I did a little dent in my tomato here, which means it's time to eat it. So I'm going to work on that, leaving some light spaces because the little dent in this tomato catches the light differently. There's a shadow up here. I just want to go very light and be very sensitive with my drawing. It's harder to go lighter once you've laid down the lead. You can only erase so much, so start out lighter and go darker. You can always darken up a shadow. You can only lighten it so much. There's kind of a big shadow here on this tomato. pencil and just lightly go over the rest of not all of the apple, but the areas that aren't obviously bright highlights. And while you're doing this, go with the curve of the apple. Because your apple is not flat like this, right? That's not an apple. The apple curves. We're going to go with the curves. Now, if there is a spot that is a more obvious highlight on the apple, just skip that for now. I'll do the same on the Roma tomato as well. This works too because the apple has different variations in the color and it has almost little stripes and dots. So by going through with the pencil, even though it leaves little lines, it really works for this apple because of the texture in the color that we have. That because you don't want your apple to be flat. So it's a little bit of perspective and foreshortening. So try and keep the curves where you can. And really it just takes a lot of practice. Which is why if you go to college for drawing and painting, that's why they have you draw and paint a lot of round or things at odd angles, so that way you can have plenty of practice with foreshortening. You'll find a lot of it with figure drawing, which honestly was my favorite drawing class. But that's a lesson for another day. I can go in a little bit with this H pencil and sort of define the edge of the apple. Not all of it is like a stark highlight. You just don't want to do it too much in the beginning because, like I said before, there's only so much you can lighten or erase. Added to the apple, leaving the highlights light. I'm going to go in on our tomato, and I'm going to try and keep these lines. It's very subtle, but the lines on the tomato kind of go this way. So I'm going to work like that on my tomato. Some of these highlights that we left, they're definitely highlights on the tomato, but not all of them are so bright that we need to leave the paper completely white. And we are going to get almost a cross-hatching effect here, but it's all right. this part. There, we've added to it. It looks a little stripy right now, but don't worry, we're gonna get to it and fix it. Now when you're drawing a shadow, it's not just as simple as here's the apple and here's the shadow and the whole thing is dark. There's actually something called the core of the shadow, which you'll see it on the apple itself and in the shadow. There is a part of the shadow that is darker than the rest, just like this part is darker on the shadowed side of the apple. So we're looking for that in our shadows, both on the apple and tomato and on the table. So I'm going to start with the core of the shadow. And it's not actually on the Roma here where it hits the table. It's on the table. So I am going a little firmer here. So I anchor this. And then I'm going lighter where I see just the shadow. Some shadow behind it as well. There you go. And then under the apple here, the core of the shadow is right about here. Kind of runs into the tomato a little bit. Be sure you pick up your pencil between your strokes. And we'll need to go in with a darker B pencil for these, but again, we're just laying in the basics here. Now we were doing the core of the shadows here on the apple and the tomato. So I'm going to go in with a darker B pencil. I find it over here. This is my 3B. And I'm going to make these shadows a little more pronounced. I don't need to go through all of them or the entire apple with this 3B pencil. But I want to make the core of the shadows stand out. Also, by darkening the cores of your shadows, by darkening the core of the shadows in your piece, you're showing depth. You're showing that it's farther away, because in a drawing, usually what's lighter appears closer to us, and what's darker feels farther away. So, I've done the core of the shadow underneath both the apple and the Roma tomato. I'm going to let you do the core of the shadows in your Roma tomato, and then we'll come back to go in through and just really flesh out these apples and tomatoes. Now we're going to talk about blending before we close out this class. There are different ways to blend and different viewpoints on blending. Now this is a blending stick. It's just rolls of paper, and you use it to smooth out your drawing. Now, these can be used as a crutch a lot when you're learning to draw, so I recommend using them very scarcely and conservatively as you practice smoothing your transitions and learning value and to see shadows and highlights. But they are helpful at times. You can also kind of blend by drawing with the side of your pencil instead of the point. We are going to use the blending stick today. I did go through and use the side of my pencil on the Roma here a little bit. And now I'm just going to very lightly and gently go with the curve of the tomato very lightly. I don't want to smudge it too much. I'm actually going to go over some of these highlights in here. And just smooth it out just enough. Very lightly. Even go tip a little bit. Do it on the apple as well. I definitely want to go light on the apple because I like the texture of these pencil strokes because they mimic the pattern that you see in the apple. But I am going to smooth things out. Now be careful not to blend the apple into the tomato because that's not what we want. They are two different fruits. So I'm going to let you finish blending and then we're going to go in for the last final details. Now I'm going to go in with my H pencil and the little details where the aroma was attached to the plant and on the stem, I'm going to kind of just draw them in, make them more obvious so that they're not lost. And I'm going to shade the stem in a little bit of the apple. Draw in this. I don't know if there's a name for this, but alright, I went in with my H. I'm going to go in with my 2B now as well. It's not as sharp as I want it. You definitely want your pencils to be sharp for the details. And then just to make it stand out a little bit. And then to darken up this back side of the stem and a little bit right here. And there we go. Thank you so much for joining me today for this drawing video where we drew a still life. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'd love to see pictures of your finished drawings. Thanks. Bye.